The right person doesn't make you feel like you have to prove your worth every second. They don't make you question whether you're good enough. Instead, they bring out the best version of you, and that's what we're looking for. Not someone who plays with your insecurities, not someone who makes you chase their approval, but someone who sees you for who you are and elevates that. Think about the people in your life who, when you're around them, you feel lighter, more confident, more like yourself. It's not about them fixing you or changing you. It's about them creating an environment where you naturally want to be better, do better, and show up as your strongest self. That's the energy you want in a relationship. That's what the right person does. Now contrast that with the people who make you second guess yourself. The ones who make you feel like you have to impress them constantly, who leave you feeling like you're not enough, or worse, like you have to become someone else just to keep them interested. That's not a relationship. That's a performance. And eventually, performances get exhausting. You shouldn't have to wear a mask with the person. The right relationship isn't about putting on a show to maintain someone's interest. It's about two people seeing each other clearly and still choosing each other every single day. One of the biggest traps we fall into is confusing excitement with a connection that actually serves us. Just because someone makes your heart race doesn't mean they make your life better. Attraction is easy. Real connection is rare. And one of the ways you can tell the difference is by asking yourself, do I feel more or less like myself around this person? Do I feel confident or do I feel like I'm constantly on edge? If you find yourself shrinking in their presence, if you hesitate before you speak because you're worried they'll judge you, if you feel like you have to be a watered down version of yourself just to keep the peace, that's a sign you're with the wrong person. The right person makes you feel safe in your own skin. They don't just accept your quirks and flaws. They love you because of them, not in spite of them. They don't make you feel like you have to apologize for who you are. Instead, they celebrate it. That's the difference between someone who is right for you and someone who just happens to be around. Now, I know what some of you are thinking, but what if I haven't met that person yet? And that's fair. But here's the thing. If you're constantly surrounding yourself with people who drain you, who make you feel like you're not enough, then you're not leaving space for the person who actually fits you. You have to be willing to walk away from the wrong energy to make space for the right one. You can't expect to meet someone who elevates you if you're still entertaining people who tear you down. A lot of us hold on to relationships that aren't serving us because we tell ourselves, well, it's better than being alone. But let me tell you something. Being alone with your peace is far better than being with someone who makes you doubt your worth. You deserve a relationship where you can exhale, where you don't have to keep proving yourself, where you don't have to fight for scraps of affection. That's not love. That's desperation disguised as attachment. And you're worth more than that. When you meet the right person, you'll notice something. You'll stop feeling like love is a battlefield. You'll stop feeling like every moment is a test you could fail. Instead, there will be ease. There will be a sense of peace that you didn't even realize was missing before. And that's when you'll know, because love, real love, the kind that lasts, doesn't drain you, it fills you up. And that's exactly what you deserve. If someone truly cares, they will show it through consistent actions, not just words. See, a lot of people get caught up in what someone says. They hear things like, I really like you, I miss you, I want to see you, and they take those words at face value. But words without action are just noise. They create an illusion of effort, but in reality, they mean nothing unless they are backed up by something real. Interest without effort is like a car without fuel. It might look good, but it's not going anywhere. Think about the times you've been confused in a relationship or talking stage. It usually happens when someone is saying all the right things, but not actually doing anything to prove it. 1 minute they're texting you nonstop, telling you how much they love spending time with you, and the next they're nowhere to be found. That inconsistency is not a sign of deep emotion. It's a sign of a lack of real investment. When someone is truly interested in you, they don't just think about making you happy. They take action. They follow through on their plans. They don't leave you wondering if they're going to call, if they're going to show up, or if they really mean what they say. They don't disappear when it's inconvenient for them. They create space for you in their life because they want you to be there. The mistake many people make is rationalizing inconsistency. They make excuses for the other person. Oh, they're just really busy. Maybe they have commitment issues. They're just not great at texting. But the truth is, people make time for what matters to them. If someone is too busy to text, too distracted to call, too inconsistent to make an effort, then they're making a choice. And that choice is that they don't value you in the way you deserve. You don't need to beg for effort. You don't need to convince someone to care about you. When someone genuinely likes you, they want to make you feel secure in the connection. They want to impress you. They want to prioritize you. It doesn't mean they drop everything for you, but it does mean that you never have to doubt where you stand. Their consistency creates clarity, not confusion. Let's talk about the difference between short-term excitement and long-term commitment. It's easy for someone to show up when things are fun and new. It's easy for someone to plan an exciting date, send a few romantic texts, and sweep you off your feet in the beginning. But what really matters is what happens after that initial rush. Does their effort continue? Do they show up for you in small ways, even when there's no grand occasion? Because the right person doesn't just make an effort when it's convenient. They make an effort because they want to keep you in their life. Imagine this. You meet someone and they're incredibly charming. They tell you everything you want to hear. They give you that intoxicating rush of attention. And for a moment, it feels like you're the center of their world. But then something shifts. They become unpredictable. One day, they're giving you all of their energy, and the next, they're distant and uninterested. And suddenly you're left trying to figure out what you did wrong, when the truth is, it was never about you. It was about them not being willing to put in real effort. A person who values you will want to be reliable for you. They will want to make you feel safe in their presence, not like you're constantly auditioning for their attention. The right person doesn't keep you guessing. They don't make you feel like you need to chase them or decode their behavior. They simply show up consistently and intentionally. And let's be clear, effort is not about grand gestures. It's not about expensive gifts or extravagant surprises. It's in the little things. The hey, how did your meeting go today? The I know you love this coffee, so I brought it for you. The let's make a plan for next weekend, I want to see you. Effort is found in reliability, in showing up when they say they will, in listening, remembering, and making an active choice to invest in the relationship. Some people treat dating like a game. They give just enough to keep you hooked, but never enough to make you feel secure. They breadcrumb you, little bits of attention here and there, but not enough to truly nurture a connection. And if you allow yourself to settle for that, you end up in a cycle of chasing validation rather than experiencing real love. You don't need to be a detective in your own relationship. You shouldn't have to analyze every text, every delay in response, every change in tone, just to figure out if someone truly cares. Love isn't meant to be a puzzle you have to solve. The right person makes their intentions clear through their actions. So if you find yourself constantly questioning someone's effort, if you feel like you're always the one driving the connection forward, take a step back and ask yourself, am I making excuses for them? Am I holding on to words while ignoring their lack of action? Because if you are, it's time to see things for what they really are. A person who truly values you won't just tell you how much they like you. They will show you, not just once, not just in moments of passion, but consistently over time. And that kind of effort, that kind of consistency, that's what real love looks like. You know what's exhausting? Feeling like you have to perform in your own relationship, walking on eggshells, second-guessing every word you say, worrying that if you show too much or too little of yourself, you'll lose the person you're with. That's not love. That's a job interview that never ends. And if you're in something like that, you need to stop and ask yourself, why am I working so hard just to be accepted by someone who should already like me for who I am? The right person makes you feel safe to be yourself, not the filtered, carefully curated version, not the person you think they want you to be, but you, the weird, imperfect, sometimes messy, sometimes insecure, sometimes ridiculously silly, sometimes deep and profound version of you. Because that's what love actually is. It's when someone looks at you, sees the whole picture, and stays. Not despite your quirks, but because of them. If you have to constantly play a role in order to keep someone's attention, then you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. And performances are tiring. The thing about pretending is that at some point, the mask slips. And when that happens, you don't just risk losing them, you risk losing yourself. You start to forget what it feels like to simply exist in the presence of someone who gets you, who doesn't make you feel like you need to be more, less, different, or better to earn their love. So how do you know if you found the right person? It's simple. You feel a deep sense of ease when you're around them. You don't overanalyze your texts before you hit send. You don't sit there in silence after a conversation, wondering if you came off too strong, too weak, too needy, too independent. You don't feel like every moment is a test, because it's not. The right relationship isn't an endless audition. It's a place where you can breathe. There's something beautiful about being with someone who makes you feel like home, not just because they're familiar, but because they create space for you to be your truest self. They make you feel that you're not too much or not enough. And if you've ever been with someone who made you feel like you needed to constantly edit yourself, you know exactly how freeing it is when you find someone who just lets you be. It's night and day. Let's get real. We've all been in situations where we've put on a version of ourselves to impress someone. Maybe we tone down our humor, act more chill than we really are, pretend we don't care when we do, or agree with things we don't even believe in just to avoid conflict. And in the beginning, it might even feel like it's working. The person seems interested, things seem to be flowing. But over time, you start to feel the cracks forming. You start to resent the fact that you can't fully express yourself, that you're holding back parts of who you are just to maintain their approval. And the worst part, you start to wonder if they would even like the real you, if they even know the real you. That's not love. That's anxiety in disguise. You should never have to dim your light to make someone else comfortable. The right person won't make you feel like your personality, your emotions, your passions, your excitement, or your energy need to be adjusted just so they'll stick around. They won't make you feel guilty for wanting reassurance. They won't make you question whether you're worth their time. Because when someone truly cares, they make it easy for you to show up as yourself. Now, does that mean that the right person will never challenge you? No. A great relationship isn't about having someone who agrees with everything you say or validates every single emotion you have without question. A great relationship is about having someone who allows you to be yourself and helps you grow at the same time. They'll call you out when you need it. They'll push you when they know you're holding yourself back, but they'll do it in a way that makes you feel safe, not judged. And let's talk about this idea of safety for a second, because safety doesn't mean complacency. It doesn't mean boredom. Some people think that if a relationship isn't full of chaos, drama, or constant highs and lows, then it's not exciting. But that's not excitement, that's emotional whiplash. Real excitement comes from being with someone who makes you feel alive without making you feel unstable. It comes from knowing that you can be completely open, completely vulnerable, and completely you, and still be loved. So, if you're in something right now where you feel like you're constantly trying to prove your worth, constantly worried about saying the wrong thing, constantly afraid that if you show your true self, they'll walk away, ask yourself this: what exactly are you fighting for? A relationship where you can't be yourself isn't a relationship worth having. When you find the right person, you won't feel like you need to shrink. You won't feel like you need to edit. You won't feel like you need to earn their affection, because love, real love, doesn't come with conditions. It's not something you have to qualify for. It's something that happens when two people see each other fully, without pretense, without fear, and say, I still choose you. You know, attraction is a powerful force, that initial spark, that undeniable chemistry. It can feel electric. But here's the thing, chemistry might pull two people together, but it's shared values that keep them from falling apart. And I'm not just talking about liking the same movies or having similar hobbies. I'm talking about the deeper stuff, the things that shape how you move through life, the way you see the world, what you truly stand for, if those don't align, no amount of attraction can make up for it in the long run. Let's break this down. When you meet someone and feel that instant attraction, your emotions take the lead. The way they look at you, the way they talk, how they make you laugh, these things are intoxicating. But emotions are tricky. They can cloud judgment. They can make you ignore things that over time will matter a whole lot more than how much you enjoyed that first date. Imagine this. You start dating someone who makes your heart race every time they walk into the room. They're charming, exciting, and there's this undeniable pull between you two. But as the weeks go by, you start noticing small differences. At first, they seem insignificant. Maybe you love deep, meaningful conversations, but they prefer to keep things light. Maybe you believe in always being honest, even when it's uncomfortable, but they tend to avoid difficult truths. Maybe you're passionate about growth, pushing yourself to be better while they're content with staying exactly where they are. Alone, these things might not seem like deal breakers, but together, over time, they start to create cracks in the foundation. Because here's the truth. When two people don't share core values, every decision becomes a battle. You're constantly trying to pull each other in different directions. And instead of being partners, you become opponents, each trying to convince the other to see things your way. But that's not love. That's just exhausting. One of the biggest mistakes people make is thinking that love is about compromise at all costs. That if you just care about someone enough, you'll make it work. But there's a huge difference between compromising on the small things, like what restaurant to go to or what color to paint the bedroom, and compromising on who you are. When you're with the right person, compromise feels like teamwork. When you're with the wrong person, it feels like sacrificing pieces of yourself just to keep the peace. And that's why you need to pay attention to values early on. If someone's lifestyle, priorities, and beliefs about relationships don't align with yours, don't ignore it, because what seems like a minor issue now will only grow bigger with time. Maybe you value ambition and they just want to coast. Maybe you want to build a life based on adventure and taking risks, but they crave comfort and predictability. Maybe honesty is everything to you, but they're okay with little white lies. These aren't just surface level preferences. These are fundamental differences in how you see life, love, and commitment. And if those aren't aligned, the relationship will eventually start feeling like a struggle. The strongest relationships don't require one person to abandon their values just to make the other happy. The strongest relationships are built on two people who see life in a similar way, who want the same things, and who inspire each other to be better versions of themselves. When you share values, decisions become easier. You don't have to convince them to care about what matters to you because it already matters to them. You don't have to constantly explain why something is important because they just get it. And that kind of connection, that's what creates lasting love. So, how do you spot someone who shares your values? You listen, you watch. You don't just focus on how they make you feel, you focus on how they live their life. Do their actions align with their words? Do they make decisions that reflect the same priorities you have? Do they talk about a future that excites you because it aligns with the one you see for yourself? These are the questions that matter. Too often, we get caught up in chasing the feeling of love rather than the foundation of love. But feelings can fade. Chemistry can fluctuate. What remains, what truly holds a relationship together, are the values that shape how you both show up every single day. When those align, love feels effortless. When they don't, love feels like work. And real love, the kind that lasts, it should never feel like a job you have to clock into just to keep things together. If you want to find the right person for you, stop looking for just attraction. Start looking for alignment. Start chasing sparks that burn out quickly, and start seeking the kind of fire that stays lit for a lifetime. Every couple argues. Let's just get that out of the way. If you're looking for a relationship where there's never any disagreement, you're chasing a fantasy. The right person isn't someone you never have conflict with. It's someone with whom conflict feels constructive, not toxic. And that distinction is everything. There's a difference between healthy disagreements that bring you closer and arguments that chip away at your sense of self. A relationship that's built to last will have moments where both people get frustrated, misunderstand each other, or even hurt each other's feelings because we're all human. But the way you resolve those moments says everything about whether you found the right person or not. When you're with the wrong person, conflict is a battlefield. It's exhausting. Every disagreement turns into a power struggle where one person has to win. There's no real listening, just waiting for the other person to finish talking so you can make your next point. Defensiveness replaces curiosity. Ego overshadows connection. And suddenly, it's not about solving the problem, it's about proving who's right. But with the right person, conflict is about understanding, not winning. Even in difficult moments, there's still a feeling of being on the same team. The goal isn't to defeat each other, it's to figure out a way forward together. There's a basic level of respect that never gets lost, even in the heat of the moment. You don't feel like you have to watch your back or protect yourself from emotional damage. You feel safe, even when you're arguing. One of the biggest indicators that you're with the right person is that disagreements don't escalate into personal attacks. A disagreement about something as simple as where to go for dinner doesn't suddenly turn into an attack on your character, your values, or your worth. When someone starts belittling, dismissing, or trying to tear you down during conflict, that's not love, that's control. That's someone who isn't focused on the relationship, they're focused on dominating the argument. And here's where it gets tricky. Toxic conflict isn't always loud, it's not always shouting or dramatic confrontation. Sometimes it's silent, it's cold, it's the feeling of being emotionally shut out because you said something they didn't like. It's the passive-aggressive digs, it's the guilt trips, the manipulation, the shifting of blame so that you always end up apologizing even when you're not wrong. If every argument leaves you feeling drained, guilty, or like you're losing a part of yourself, that's a red flag. That's not a relationship, that's emotional warfare. But in the right relationship, disagreements feel like an opportunity. They're an opportunity to understand each other better, to learn how the other person thinks, what they need, and what triggers them. Instead of getting defensive, the right person listens. They don't just hear your words, they actually absorb what you're saying because they care more about understanding you than defending their own point. They ask questions instead of making assumptions. They give you the space to express yourself without fear of retaliation. When you're with the right person, you don't walk away from an argument feeling smaller. You don't feel like you have to shrink to keep the peace. You feel heard. Even if you don't see eye to eye on everything, there's still a sense of mutual respect and validation. You walk away feeling like progress was made, like something was learned. And the beautiful part, over time, the more you work through conflicts in a healthy way, the fewer conflicts you have. Because you start to learn each other's rhythms, each other's sensitivities. You learn how to navigate tough conversations with love instead of ego. A healthy relationship doesn't mean never arguing. It means knowing that when you do argue, the person you're with will fight for the relationship, not against you. It means being able to disagree and still walk away feeling loved. If every argument makes you question where you stand, if every disagreement leaves you feeling more disconnected, that's a sign something is off. Love shouldn't feel like a constant battle. The right person doesn't make you feel like you have to fight just to be heard. So, if you're wondering whether you're with the right person, don't just look at how great things are when everything is easy. Look at how they treat you when things get hard. Look at how they communicate when they're upset. Look at whether they listen when you express your feelings or if they dismiss you. That's where the truth of a relationship is revealed. The right person makes even the hard moments feel like they're worth getting through together. You ever meet someone who makes your heart race, but not in the good way? It's like you're constantly waiting for their next move, analyzing every text, every delay in response, every shift in their tone, as if you're solving a puzzle where the pieces keep changing. And yet, despite how exhausting it feels, you convince yourself that this is what love is supposed to be. That's the trap. We mistake anxiety for passion. inconsistency for excitement, and chaos for chemistry. But real love doesn't make you feel like you're standing on a tightrope. When you're with the right person, there's a sense of calm. It's not about grand gestures or extreme highs and lows. It's about knowing where you stand. It's about feeling safe in their presence, knowing that you don't have to constantly chase them for reassurance. Think about that for a second. The wrong person keeps you in a cycle of uncertainty. One day, they're showering you with attention. The next, they're distant. And suddenly, you're in a game where the rules aren't clear. And when you're caught in that cycle, you start blaming yourself. Maybe I'm too needy. Maybe I said the wrong thing. Maybe if I just hold on a little longer, they'll change. But deep down, you know this isn't how love should feel. The right person isn't going to have you questioning your worth. They won't make you feel like you have to earn their affection or compete for a spot in their life. They show up, not just on the good days, not just when it's convenient, but consistently. You don't have to send a message and then sit there for hours wondering if they'll respond. You don't have to decode mixed signals or rely on guessing games. With the right person, there's clarity. They make you feel seen, heard, and valued, not like you're one wrong move away from losing them. We get so caught up in the idea that love has to be difficult to be real. We glorify the struggle, as if enduring uncertainty proves how much we care. But love, real love, isn't supposed to feel like you're constantly trying to prove something. It's not about holding on tighter to someone who keeps pulling away. The right person doesn't play with your emotions to keep you hooked. They don't give you just enough to keep you around while keeping you unsure of where you stand. That's not love, that's control. And here's the real test. How do you feel when you're not with them? Do you feel secure in what you have? Or does your mind race with doubts? Do you feel at peace? Or do you feel the need to constantly check your phone, looking for reassurance? The person who is right for you gives you a sense of emotional security, even in their absence. You don't feel like you're walking on eggshells, afraid that one misstep will push them away. You're not drained from overanalyzing their every move. Instead, you feel stable, you feel grounded, and you feel chosen, not as an option, but as a priority. So many people settle for relationships that feel like a battle. They convince themselves that if they just work harder, love them more, fix whatever is broken, things will finally feel right. But let me tell you something, the right person doesn't need you to fight for their love. They don't require you to prove your worth, because to them, your worth is already obvious. They don't love you for what you can do for them, they love you for who you are. And when you're with them, you don't feel like you have to perform, you can just be. That's what love should feel like. And when you experience it, really experience it, you realize how exhausting everything else was. Because with the right person, there is no guessing, no anxiety, no emotional roller coaster that leaves you dizzy and drained. There's just peace. And that peace, that's the clearest sign you've found something real.